You were gonna ask me something on camera?
Oh, I was gonna address the fact that I don't think that you have ADHD with you. That's why this is an intervention, Matt. That's why we're gathered here today to discuss how very blatantly neurotypical I find you.
Oh,
gotcha.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Wow. What? What if that's really what you...
What if that was like the plan all along? Deep in season 5, we learn. We learn.
We learn. We live. We learn. We learn. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Matt. Welcome to season 5.
You get out of here. Literally,
what are we even doing?
Out of here. Get out.
Welcome to season 5 of ADHd20, which is, well, it's a podcast.
And it is a podcast.
It explores that sweet, sweet intersection of ADHD
and TTRPGs. For those of you who have no idea what that means, you're just joining us season 5. Number 1, why? Number 2, TTRPG. TTRPG stands for tabletop role-playing games. So now you know.
Now we know. We're very obsessed with those, and it is our mission to make you as obsessed, if not more. That's why we're here. This is your indoctrination into a cult welcome.
Yes. And I'll also say this. If you're watching this show for the first time on a new channel called Tabletop TTRPG, then let me say that ADHd20 has existed obviously for 5 years, but this is the first ADHd20 episode that lives in this new channel. And you might want to go to our sister channel, the Pocket Dimension, to catch the others, or just go to your favorite podcaster catcher. But the point being is that this show, ADHd20, is a show where Allison and I just chitter chat. We
let
just let it
out.
out. This is our therapy moment, our therapy hour-ish. Mm-hmm. So we are hoping that it's good for everybody else as it's definitely good for our brains. So welcome to ADHd20.
Welcome to ADHd20.
Season 5.
Welcome to Tabletop TTRPG. Dare I say that it was ADHd20 that inspired Tabletop TTRPG as you and I realized we want to focus even more on that intersection, on enabling, on being a neurodivergent first TTRPG channel. And really what we mean by that, it doesn't mean that you have to be neurodivergent in order to appreciate, consume, like, or hate any of our content. It just means that we're leading with our neurodivergence, and we are making tools and content in a community for people who either identify as neurodivergent or just love somebody who is. As we often joke, everybody we think. If you're not neurodivergent, that's cool. I'm guessing you have somebody very close in your life who is, though.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. But yes, we're not doctors, so we're not allowed to even say that. But we don't think that there's any way that you don't know somebody.
It's true.
Neurodivergent brain.
So yeah, some things are changing this season on top of our new channel, new network.
What's changing?
I think that we're gonna shoot from the hip even more. I mean, you know, Daggerheart and D&D and all of these other TTRPGs that we love are at their very core improvisation games. And so this has all been largely improvised the whole time.
Oh, yeah. ADHd20, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry for shattering any illusions by telling you that.
What if we scripted out every little word that we've been saying, even up till now? What if we literally scripted
Welcome
out?
to ADHd20, a podcast that explores the intersection between ADHD and TTRPGs.
We were such good actors that we were able to perform it so naturally.
But for all of our content moving forward, anything related to our community moving forward, and our lives, we're going to prioritize ease. We want it to be fun. And that doesn't mean that we won't work hard for the thing that we love, but there has to be this path of least resistance, of no resistance, of very little resistance. Maybe no is too pie in the sky.
That's extreme.
Right? That's pretty extreme.
A little bit of resistance. Yeah.
And so that's what, we're going to talk about here in this very first episode of this new season. As y'all are used to me saying by now, if you've been around for a couple of episodes, I saw this great TikTok. I love to be inspired by TikTok. Okay.
Thank God for you. You are my portal into TikTok, man. I can't do it myself. I'm not trying to. I get it. When I don't know why. But you give me the best things about TikTok.
Well, thank you for that. I'm here to help. I'm here to usher, to be your guide,
Personal
your Sherpa.
AI. That's my Sherpa for.
Oh, your social media Sherpa, tis I.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I saw this great TikTok. My TikTok algorithm, I built this algorithm brick by brick, friends. And it is this perfect mix of woo-woo, a lot of manifestation and witchy shit, a lot of neurospicy ADHD things, a lot of hot lumberjacks, and
so important. It's so freaking important.
It's so important. And so on the kind of woo-woo, and of course TTRPGs, all facets of my darling personality right there on display for everybody. So I saw on the witchy side of TikTok, where I most often inhabit, I saw this really great TikTok, and I do a really lousy job of saving TikToks, because we all know you can save all the videos in the world. You're not going back for them, right?
I hope not.
I don't follow anybody on TikTok, by the way. I let TikTok show me what I should be consuming. Okay. It's not a follow game there. Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And that's going to tie into this point. So, but unfortunately, then when I need to go cite my sources, sometimes I do kind of screw myself out of being able to do that, because now I can't find that video for the life of me. It's like it was here to show me something, and then it disappeared into the ether. And that video was all about how nature prioritizes ease and efficiency over working hard.
Right.
And it just, it niggled in my brain in the best way.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I'm going to give you some examples. I'm ready with this. And so what the kind of original poster was saying was that when you think about like water's relationship with it follows gravity and the path of ease. Water is not rushing uphill, and it is carving this world as we know it with not by being productive, but by showing up consistently. When we think about like animals, predators sleep during the day because, oftentimes it's hot and the sun is out, and those are things that use up all of our energy. And so they rest. And then that's why they do things like hunt at night. Trees grow towards the light. They literally orient themselves towards the energy source that they seek, which I think is beautiful. Ants follow little pheromone trails, which is a great way for them to be efficient. They're not all about girl bossing and blazing their own paths. Like they're going from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible. And then something that appears on our larger network, the pocket dimension, very often. If you're new here, we love to talk about the mycelium networks. And so I did a little bit of digging into mycelium, because this is actually something we talk about often, but I don't know that much about. So I decided to go learn some stuff. Yeah. Mycelium. Okay. I'm just going to read you some things, because this was fascinating to me, and maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
When you see a mushroom, okay, like the end point, that's just the fruit of this, right? The real organism is underground. It's a web of all of these tiny threads called mycelium, and these threads connect plant roots, and they move nutrients through the soil, like the forest support network, or what I would like to call it, the Wood Wide Web.
Damn it.
I don't know why I'm like this.
Wait, did you make that up? Did you make that up? Jesus Christ. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
All right. So
what the World Wide Web
Network,
actually
World Wide-
does. Connects trees to one another, moving nutrients and water where they're needed, and sharing resources between strong and struggling plants, reinforcing efficient pathways. And so instead of every tree, fauna, and flora in the wood fending for themselves, the network shares the load. It reduces strain, it conserves energy. Ease, right? I think about this regarding and related to ADHD and how we tend to kind of find little pods of ourselves and work together. Why things like body doubling, so huge. Like that's honestly a way that we're like conserving energy and sharing the load, because like we are pooling our resources. That way, like if I get stuck, I can call out to you, or just as we've talked about so many times before when we're body doubling, like just knowing somebody's on the other side of that line.
Yeah.
Is so hugely helpful for us. But then it also got me, thinking like we are mycelium networks at the gaming table, right? Is that not what this is? Are we not sharing the load and the resources when we think about coming together as a party? Do we not have conversations? They're like, I want to play a caster and I want to play a brute and I want to buff the party and like all of these things. Is that not how we're sharing? And like you come together as a party because you as an adventurer in this little, make-believe version of yourself, fantasy you decides that they don't want to go it alone anymore. They want to go the path of ease. They want to find their party. So
can I also add to that it's also the fact that as storytellers, you're sitting down on the table with, yes, somebody who's kind of maybe the MC-ish
Right.
of the game master, but then the players, it's not about the game master doing all the work. It's not about the story coming from the game master. Going to ease, allowing the players to help write this story together. Wow, that's good. That's real
Correct.
good. You did some homework. Yeah.
I did a little bit of homework on this, but it was fun homework. Like I followed my joy into this, right? And that's kind of like the crux of the episode is that I think as a human, I don't even think that this is explicitly and exclusively a neurodivergent thing, but we here as we are hopefully watching the downfall of late stage capitalism.
Come on, man.
We have been taught over and over again that effort and output are the goal, right?
Right.
That like if you're not working hard, it means you don't want it enough. Like it's got to hurt for it to count.
Got to hurt. No pain, no gain.
And I don't like. And so the kind of original thesis behind all of this was like nature's not doing that. Nature is literally finding the path of least resistance. Nature is finding and following the ease.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to stay. If we're just following, our why am I here? And like we want to stay as long as possible, grow as much as possible, learn as many things as possible. And the way that we do that is we learn to honor these rhythms and these cycles, and we learn to find the path of least resistance and lean into the ease of things rather than saying I'll rest when, or
I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yes.
Ease, baby.
Oh, man alive.
Man alive. And I'd like to stay alive for a long, long time. And I'm going to do that.
Right. And what is the leading cause of death? I know, they pretty much everything, even clinically, comes down to stress, right?
Correct.
Stress is
if
basically...
If you're constantly flushing cortisol into your body, you are setting yourself up for nervous system disasters, circulatory system disasters, heart disasters, strokes, all like physically, emotionally, mentally, all these different things. And we try to on this show, not make everything about our ADHD, which is why I'm calling out like this is not a specifically ADHD thing.
Truth.
But I do think that because of, just a few hundred years of shame and oppression for people needing accommodations, neurodivergent people in particular oftentimes have a hard time asking for those accommodations, asking for that ease. Because long ago somebody decided that we needed credit scores and dumb shit like that.
Yes.
So that's my personal journey that I am honoring. in
Wow.
2026 and beyond.
Okay, so my first question immediately is it possible to reframe that? Is it possible, especially to people have neurodivergent brains, those with ADHD? Is it possible for us to reframe it? Because here's something interesting about what you just said: is probably our first episode we started talking about how there are many theories that the ADHD brain is a leftover from a hunter society where the kids that showed these traits were sent out to be hunters, right? So there was never anything. It's the evolution of what we became as gatherers, societal gatherers, capitalism, consumerism, so on and so forth. Like that is the norm, that is the rule, that is what is kind of catapulting us out of our ease, right? Because at one point, especially ADHD brains, and that's all I can speak to, but especially ADHD brains kind of did that. They were following ease. They were following ease. And now we are not following the ease even when we're really trying to follow ease, are we? Because there's nothing to hunt, really. I could go next door and I could hunt my dogs.
Please don't.
I'd
be sad without Mickey.
Serve them up for dinner. That would be really dumb because I'd be sad. But I don't hunt for my food. What do you think about that? Is that
you have to go
do you think
hunt
that's included?
your job is to hunt, even we call you the hacker, right? So you're constantly like hunting for the solutions to the problems you're trying to fix for yourself and clients and everybody else.
But it is an itch, right? It is a like thing that I have to do. So if I had been in a society where I both had the importance handed to me, the C-level title, if you will, of what would it be? It would be
Chief Hunting Officer, CHO.
CHO, right? If I was given the CHO of my tribe, then I went out, I would probably consider my day to be very productive. I have these days where I can't do anything. And that's probably because you need a break.
Using your example, which I love.
Okay.
So that is the book that you have brought up a couple of different times. Funny enough, somebody actually brought it up unprovoked in our Discord a few weeks ago. I was like, yes, Matt has told me all. I need to read it. I need to.
Yeah. It's great.
Since it
Tom Hartman, ADHD, A Hunter in a Farmer's World, Tom Hartman. And he's done some new thinking and stuff. Plug for our amazing Discord, by the way, where you can talk to people about like stuff like this all the time.
About stuff like
Please
this.
Continue.
So using that example, that fantastic example, right? Like that was but that is an example of exactly what I'm talking about. Like it's another, tabletop, it's another party, it's another mycelium network, right? Where the goal is infrastructure, right? The goal is like making survival easier for everyone because they had you to go out and forage, because they had this person to go out and hunt, because they had this person to, cure the things as they came back in so they could last a couple more days, because they had somebody preparing it so we got to eat it, because they had somebody keeping us warm and clothed.
CPO, Chief Pickling Officer.
The Chief Pickling Officer. Yeah, if you get to be the CHO, I want to be the No, I'm going to be the Chief Sourdough Officer. Oh man, that's what I meant to do. I meant to haul out a loaf today because in the last episode I talked about sourdough, and I'm now making sourdough, you guys. I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing.
She really is. Oh my God, she's really is.
Sorry, we have ADHD. But yes to all of those things, right? And so I just kind of wanted to use the rest of this. So first and foremost, like lay down like all of it, the multitasking and the I've got to go it alone, and I've got to do it better than anybody else and better than it's been done before. And if I didn't bleed and if I didn't cry and I didn't sweat, then I didn't. We are begging ourselves, and by extension, you to just step into a world where ease is the priority over effort.
Okay. So how can we do some of these things? Yes, that is our goal for 2026. What can we do? How do we do that?
How do we do? So I've already mentioned a big one, which was the body doubling, right?
The body doubling is great.
We were recording some other content for the channel recently, and Matt had this really great idea at the tabletop, and it broke my brain in the best way. And I want to input it as an ADHD person at work, like at the table, like in everything that we do. We all tend to come to the table, come to the office, come to the conference table, wherever, whatever group we're working in, right? And we all think we have to do all the things. And none of us have the conversation about like, I'm going to do this sometimes, right? Like working together often still means silos. And it's like, I'm taking my own notes, and it means like you're, managing your own calendar, and you're, like all of these different things. And so the idea that you had given, that is a way to help people with ADHD focus at the gaming table as a player. Don't be a generalist. Don't be the general note taker. Have a thing that you are responsible for taking notes for.
Right.
And that sounds so simple. Like, I'm saying this, and I'm sure there's people listening being like, well, duh. But do you do it? Because I never had thought to do it. And I'm guessing a lot of other people. So we're all out here playing a game together, and we're all taking notes. And yeah, we have we know somebody's taking better notes than somebody else. And people tend to fall into the okay, I'm going to be the recapper, or I'm going to track the loot and stuff like that. But where can we do more of that? Where can we do that specialized, this is the type of note that I'm taking. This is the type of appointment that I am managing, and things like that. So I think that that's one way.
You're talking about unitasking, right? Yeah. You're talking about, something that is very hard for some of our brains. Not all brains are like this, but certainly mine, where you think that you can multitask all day, all night, and no one really can. No one really should. But we think that we can. Yeah.
We think that we can. Exactly. So when I think we're going to keep coming back to this hunter example, right? The hunter is not tasked with the pickling. They're just tasked with the hunting. Right. Right.
Right.
And so, and then that eliminates the friction of the context switching and things like that, because we have given us ourselves all of these different ways to make our lives harder. And so it's just a matter of wherever in the year you're listening to this episode, we're currently in February. That's where we're recording it, right? Where we've just, whether you're setting this up as a new year or just a re-check-in, having that pause and saying, but am I doing this? Or am I just saying yeah, okay, cool. I think is going to be one of the ways, challenging yourself on that plight of ease, noticing where you're trying to do everything and be everyone at once.
Right.
I just,
I've got some ideas of how to possibly do that. Some ideas that I'm working on myself. And it's a controversial subject, blah, blah, blah. It is, whether we like it or not, whether you like it or not, AI is the Pandora's box has been open, and AI has come out, and we will not ever be able to put it back. It is out in the world. It is doing what it's doing. And especially, this is end of February 2026, especially right now in the last month, there have been some breakthroughs and some inventive people working on how to actually take your ChatGPT, the thing that you're probably just using to ask funny, how to
paint a portrait of me so I can post it on Facebook.
Make me look like that dog. Like stuff like that, which is totally valid. I've done it. I'm not knocking you, but taking that.
I never got to see you as your dog portrait.
I'll show you sometimes. Yeah, it's great. It's really good. Mickey, of course, but taking this thing where you go to it and you ask of it, and it gives the answer. It generates an answer, on the fly. It has a little tiny bit of memory. especially depending on how much you're paying for. It has a little tiny bit of context, but usually a new chat is a new chat is a new chat, and you start over, and you are kind of, asking a question, and then now things like that memory are going to change a lot, right? As it advances, but still, right now, everybody that I talk to uses it basically in that way, which is a great way to use as kind of like a creative partner, and to kind of like say, okay, here's what I'm working on today.
Yep.
Let's discuss. That's a wonderful way.
Yep.
But what if? So the question is, what if AI, the same AI, could be designed so that it was proactive and it was actually doing things for you, and it wasn't you sitting down and saying, I need to work on my finances for this business today, but instead it gets to be March 1st, and your friend Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini ring you up, sometimes literally ring you up and say, hey, it's time for you to start working on your taxes. Can you get me blank, blank, blank CSV and a list of your categories, kind of thing? That's obviously where the world is going. And I want to say, you may have even, if you're watching this, you may be nerdy enough to even have watched videos of people talking about things like OpenClaw, the OpenClaw project, or my favorite, the PAI, Personal Assistant, by Dan Meisler. His project is very similar, different ways of putting things together. But I'm here to tell you that I've never believed that there could be something that could truly help with my ADHD traits, my symptoms, my difficulties, my masking, like my need to mask. Like, I got that. I could do that.
Yeah.
Until now. And I know that if I had the wherewithal to hire a personal assistant, a human being, number one, I would do that probably.
Right.
Because why not? That's fun. Get to know somebody new. But I would want them to be good. I would want them to be really good, and
grabbing your attention.
That would cost a lot, and it would take a lot to train them and learn, just like it does with these AIs. But let me tell you, I've seen the future, and there have truly been, in those last couple of months, times where it hits like noon, and I'm like usually scrambling to do X, Y, or Z, and I realize it's already been done. And not only that, I've created things to remind me to check up on X or Y, and I'm sitting there going, okay, so what am I supposed to do right now? Like what? And that is the ease. Yeah.
Well, and have you felt guilty for it? Like, that's my next question. Just on like a human, we feel guilty.
But I get over it. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Like,
I'm getting over it real fast.
Let's train. By the way, I do just want to call out, if you're not paying attention to the things that Matt says and suggests, you should start. Way back in season 1 or 2, Matt brought me another acronym, PKM, Personal Knowledge Manager. Or something like that, right?
Management, yeah.
Management, and now you're here talking about PAI. Like you're always on that leading edge.
I am, and that's one of the beautiful things about my ADHD that I will cherish forever. And obviously, I'm not saying this is a cure. I'm saying that if all things go well, and if you continue to learn about this stuff and learn about this future, it's too late to fight it.
Yeah.
There's reasons to fight AI.
Yes.
Aspects of AI. There's reasons to be worried about it. Lots and lots and lots of jobs are going to be lost or changed or adjusted. Yes, or have already been lost. Bless your hearts. I'm so sorry. Today we just learned that Jack Dorsey fired 40% of. So that was it's actually a big day in history, actually. Yeah. And he, without any without any explanation except for, yeah, AI can do it.
Oh,
And
he
he's
had a full
not
explanation.
wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It was.
That's the only explanation. Not, oh, well, this would be good for... No.
And I mean, like,
AI can
other
do it.
CEOs have been tiptoeing around this for a while, you know,
It's
but
about
like
to
he said the quiet
domino
part
right
out
now.
loud. He said, great, yeah, we've been able to completely reduce. So we want to be sensitive about that. We want to
We're very
say that
sensitive,
we respect and protect artists at all costs and things like that.
Especially
We
artists,
understand the environmental implications of AI, like, but to Matt's point, it's here. It's not just getting started; it's already going.
It's way beyond what you think it is. Yes.
And where can we find the path of ease with it? You know, is my...
And let me assure you, dear listeners, that I will be in the trenches, being the guy that learns about this on the ground, on the cutting edge ground zero, session zero level, so that I can continue to speak about what is going to happen very, very soon for all of us, what will be available for all of us. With a level of understanding that I hope will be helpful to you, because I do enjoy learning things, and I have learned an unnecessary amount, but I know that it's going to come in handy because life is going to change as we know it.
See,
it just
Matt
is.
and I are already dividing into our little roles. I am the social media Sherpa.
That's right.
And Matt is the AI activist.
That's right.
Activator.
I don't even know whether I would call myself an activist. It's so personal to me.
Yeah.
It's so personal. It's not. I'm not going to get on a soapbox about it. I feel like I have, but when I want to talk about it, I'm talking about it in the sense of how can it help me, and how can it, honestly, I'm not joking, how can it help with my masking? How can it help with my depression of not being this awareness ever since I was a little boy of I don't have the same ability to do what that person does. And instead of hiding it and hurting myself because of it and struggling and crying and screaming, moving to something that can help you is an example of moving towards ease, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I believe in medicine. I believe in things that can help you. Certainly, working hard to do things that are important to you, yay. But let's truly answer this question. Is doing your taxes, I know it's important to the world, as in, like, if you don't do them, then this happens. But is it important for you to actually do them? What do I actually gain as a human being from doing them? Nothing.
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Most other countries don't do taxes the way that we do taxes. They just go online, they're told how much to pay, and they pay the bill, and they move on with their lives. Americans made it
That would
hard
be great.
because we have lobbyists. So why do you have to do your taxes? Because lobbyists want your money going to H&R Block or TurboTax, etc.
Thank you for that.
So
Thank
on
you for that.
and so forth. We have once again, and that's kind of the whole point of this is, like, once you start noticing all of the ways, it's not, and I'm not playing the blame. I'm not saying you were wrong, Matt, or anybody listening, for taking the path of more resistance. It's the way we have been conditioned societally. We have been
100%.
told that I can't believe you're not due. I can't believe you're paying somebody to do your taxes for you. I can't believe that you're taking a medication that's going to help you lose weight. I can't believe you're going to take a pill to focus. That's cheating. That's the now I'm getting on a soapbox. Like, that's the thing is we have been taught over and over and over again that the things that we need as humans, because each and every single one of us is built and wired differently, and if somebody needs some kind of accommodation to help with that, that's cheating.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, it makes me mad.
And Allison, let me just add to that and say before you say, well, isn't ease just laziness? Let me give you a concrete example that's happening right this minute. I love doing this podcast with my friend Allison. We don't even live in the same city, and that, number one, is freaking difficult. We don't live in the same city, so I have to wire up all this stuff, and I've learned all this techie stuff to be able to put this podcast together, to be able to conversate with her easily, as easily as possible over the internet. And then I had to learn a bunch of video shit too, and editing stuff. And Allison had to learn all this video stuff and this editing and buy cameras. All of that is plenty hard, but we truly wanted to learn that in order to have this be the outcome, which is a podcast. That is way different than fighting something that hurts you, fighting ways to keep things from hurting you, fighting ways to keep you grounded and to not be anxious all the time or depressed all the time or unfocused. Like, there's plenty of stuff to. Life is hard enough. It is going to throw things at you all the time that will challenge you as a human being. So why would you not accept the ease when it can be offered to you?
Exactly. Yes.
Love that soapbox.
Love get on the soapbox with us. And so I think I've shared in many a woo-woo corner before. One of my favorite questions to ask is, who told you that? Who told you that? And so if you hear yourself calling us, or even worse, I don't care what you want to call me what you want to call me. If you hear yourself calling yourself a cheater, like, who told you that? And if you can't, like, I really want you to think about that. And accept that, like, ease is another way of saying intelligent design. And I don't think intelligent design is lazy. So why would I think that ease is lazy? I want to be able to do more with my life and my things. And, I want to have more time to do the things that I love and spend less time doing the things that I don't.
Right.
That is not cheating.
Yeah.
So we will, we'll throw some flags in here. Ease does not equal avoidance. Like,
no.
This does not mean that just because something is hard, it's not worth doing. Not what we're saying. There are some things, like right now we do live in a system where we do have to file our taxes. Whether you do them yourself or pay a professional or hand your documentation over to your new virtual Claude or otherwise, like you're still doing your, like that. Matt didn't say I'm not going to pay my taxes, because there are consequences that come with that, right?
I would be punished. Yeah.
A lot of the things, to the points Matt just made, ease does not mean that it's not hard work. It just means that it's intelligent design. So we could put together a podcast that would sound crappy, that we wouldn't be proud of, that. We did a hard thing, but it's a hard thing that brings us joy, and it is easy for Matt and I to show up for ourselves in this way. Ease is about sustainable energy, intelligent design. It's literally what happens in nature. Like, that's what I just keep coming back to over and over again. And as the naysayers start to, point, I just keep pointing right back to like, if it's the law of the natural world, why are we not following it?
So if then you're really saying that the most natural thing for you to do, within reason, of course, go to a doctor. But if you have ADHD, which is a real thing, and you have the ability and the possibility of taking a medicine that helps you, they don't always help everybody. But isn't that the most natural thing to do then, to keep? I think it is. And there may be repercussions for me for taking medicine, and I choose to accept them in the long run. I don't know if there will be or not, but right now I am living truly my best life because I'm aware of my brain more than I've ever been. I take care of myself better than I've ever done. And I don't know. That to me is exactly what you're talking about today, AK. It's just, it feels natural to be in a state again, if I was a hunter and all of my fellow tribe members were gatherers, I would show up at the table and I would be like, yeah, I did my job. You guys are doing your job. And the friction wouldn't be there, right? Like the pushing through. But now with medicine, I'm able to sit at the same table with an entire world that's a gathering.
Yep. Yeah. Can I share the most intrusive thought I've had every time you brought up being hunters? This is my own.
Okay.
This is me and me. I'm saying this about myself and not anybody else, and definitely not about Matt.
Yeah.
But as we all know, those who either are confirmed or may suspect that they are on the autism spectrum often have a hard time with social cues. Sometimes they can be perceived as difficult to get along with. Not easy to get along with, put another way. And in this book, like it goes on to say that like we bet that the neurodivergent folk, of the early days were the ones sent out because they could have the level of hyper focus needed. They had the pattern recognition required, like all of these different things that we know are fantastic aspects of our neurodivergent brains. But I also have to wonder if maybe they were like, get out of the cave because you're driving me crazy.
Exactly, cave person and hunters. But we're not saying that they were any less annoying than we are. We're not saying that.
If cave people had podcasts, what kind of bits and bobs? But yeah, again, it's leaning into it was easier for the mama bear of the cave to shoo the one who wouldn't stop talking about the migratory patterns of the common European swallow out the door. Yes. Probably not European, but I wanted to make that joke. Anyways.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah.
So I love this thought. I love it in my life. Like, because, hey, guess what? We started a new channel because our algorithm of the pocket dimension was no longer a path of ease. We're here because we tried to put too many things on that channel, if you really want us to get kind of honest with you. And the algorithm couldn't figure us out. The algorithm of any of these platforms actually wants to deliver content that matters to you. It wants to help you as a content creator find your audience. Guess what? Because then more people come see you and they can use you for more ad bucks, and it's all part of the same machine.
We had our family, Evan and Fitz, creating the beautiful Adventures of Bud and Herb, and that was it's a very incredible thing you need to go check out. And then this podcast is nothing about what the pocket dimension was. So yes, please, continue.
Yeah, we found the path of ease. We said we wonder if we would have an easier time finding the people we want to be in community with. If we just started fresh on the algorithm. We chose the path of least resistance. We oriented our leaves towards the light source, and that light source is you, dear listener.
That's right. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And, and then I think about this too. Like we said it, I was like, because obviously everything we do has to, relate back to tabletop role-playing games. But I realized, like, this is why we form a party. Because our sweet little adventurers just don't want to go it alone anymore. And so we have found a way to design. I think doing things as a party is intelligent design. We were made to form connections, just like the mycelium network was made to form. Here it comes one more time. Buckle up, everybody. The Wood Wide Web.
That's good. It's really good. This was a perfect topic. This was a perfect, easy, breezy conversation. This was a fantastic session. This was a fantastic season 5 topic, and I'm super inspired.
You were about to say session 0, weren't you?
I was.
It all connects. Like if you think about each of our seasons have been campaigns, and it would make sense at the beginning of each campaign to have a session 0. So you are part of our table now.
That's right.
Welcome to the path of least resistance.
Do you have a beautiful closing thought that you could share with us as we head out?
That feels like a leading question.
Just a little.
Do you have a closing thought, Matt?
I'm looking at a beautiful closing thought in our notes. But you don't have to share
a beautiful closing thought. Should we get all the ASMR on them now?
Let's do it. I'll do the Foley. Ready? Okay.
Water carves rock, not by force, but by consistency. Maybe we don't need to try harder. Maybe we need to be better designed for the terrain we're in.
That was beautiful. That was a beautiful closing thought, Allison.
That was from Quill. I don't ever write a beautiful closing thought. Amazing.
So good.
Yay!
Yay!
Thanks for listening to ADHd20, part of Table Topsy-Turvy and the Pocket Dimension.
Find more tools and ideas for running and playing TTRPGs and existing with ADHD brains over on Table Topsy-Turvy's YouTube channel.
Join our Patreon to support the work we're building, get downloadable TTRPG resources, and play games with us. Links are in the show notes.
And if this episode made you laugh or feel seen, we'd love it if you'd share it with a friend.
Thanks for being a part of ADHD20 and our greater commonwealth of nerds.